So I've had this word put in my mind for a while now. I just haven't put it out yet. Um, but God has been like adding more and more to it. Sometimes He'll give me a full word and be like, okay, this is what I want you to say. Other times it's little bits and pieces, and He adds, and I can tell when it is, and He adds more layers to it to unfold it more and more so that I can kind of, I guess, express it in a deeper way, if that makes sense. So, anyways, I don't listen to a lot of YouTube channels, but I have a couple that I do tune into. And as we know and can see, I'm a newbie to the YouTube prophetic channels here. So I have gotten, I don't know what you'd call it, like education, I guess you'd say, some sort of, you gotta get a learner's permit before you can get a license, right? And same idea, like, you gotta pass the elementary grades before you can finish high school. I've gotten some of my training wheels, I guess we could say, from other prophetic voices, right? But the Lord wanted me to start my channel actually last September, so about a year ago now, over a year ago. He wanted me to, but I didn't. I resisted, and He let me put it off, even though He kept nudging me on it. But He let me put it off until the spring, and then He's like, okay, you're gonna start it now. You're ready, you're gonna start it now. And I'm like, I'm not ready. He's like, yes, you are. So I know I don't show my face. The Lord is okay with that, because He says, like, if I want to show my face, I can, but if I'm not comfortable with not showing my face, that's okay, because the whole point of His words aren't to show my face, right? It's not about my background. It's not about where I live. It's not about whether I'm attractive or not, whether I'm this, that, and the third. It's about the words, right? So God's point to me is he'll choose a model to give words, and He'll choose any other version to give His words, right? It's not about if you're rich or you're poor or your looks or whatever. He doesn't go off that stuff. Now, I'm saying this because it ties into the word that I'm trying to put together here. So I've listened to other prophetic voices. I heard a message yesterday and then one today. And these are two different channels that were basically, for the most part, saying the same thing. Like, the Lord has been putting this message on my heart for about maybe a month solid. It's been on and off for longer than that, but for the last month for sure. But like I said, I've been like chewing on it and developing it in my mind as to, okay, what now? Okay, and getting all the bit by bit pieces. And then I listened to one of the channels I've listened to for a while yesterday and one today. And they both kind of had a similar message. So that was confirmation to me from the Lord, like He knows I listen to them. So trying to confirm to me through them, like, okay, I want you to put your word out now. So here I am with it. So this isn't to knock anyone who may have a prophetic channel. If you do, and the Lord has anointed you and nudged you to start one, and you have, and you are doing it with the right intentions and stuff, then that's how it should be. And kudos to you and congrats, right? But I made a short a while ago that the Lord is putting out more prophetic anointed voices in specific women. And that is true. He has been doing that for a while, and He's going to continue to do that. So He told me that He's training. So there's those that have started channels and they're putting out the Lord's words. But to those that listen and tune in to the prophetic words in the channels, He's trying to train you up as well. Not necessarily to put out prophetic words or start a prophetic channel, but to learn your gift of discernment. Because that's another part of it too, is not only do you need the anointing to have a prophetic channel that genuinely comes from the Lord, but you also have to have the gift of discernment as well. And you need to be trained in that gift of discernment before He will nudge you to put out the videos and make your own channel, right? So to those that are maybe not anointed or have the gift of prophecy, but you have other gifts, but yet you find yourself with an interest in prophetic words, it could also be because the Lord is, because like I've explained in other videos, the lesson goes both ways, right? So the prophetic channels that I listen to, they learned from their sources, whatever videos and channels they followed, right? Then they were like a training ground for me before I started mine. And now mine and other ones that some of my listeners are listening to are like a training ground for you. So those prophetic voices were getting trained in the gift of discernment. And then at one point in time, so was I, and now you are, right? It's all in different phases, right? So the Lord uses prophetic voices not only to learn their gift of discernment, to train up to where they're able to put out their own words from Him, but also trains the listeners that tune into those words the gift of discernment as well. So while the prophetic voice is learning, they're also teaching those that are listening, who are also learning, who will one day eventually start their channel, who will also teach those who are learning, and you just keep passing the torch down, if that makes any sense. So with that said, I have learned my gift of discernment, right? It took time, but I've learned it it took months, but I've learned mine, and I'm still learning it, but I've learned it enough to where the Lord tells me what channels and prophetic voices to listen to and what not to, right? Whereas, so I don't want to say He's told me which ones are real and which ones are fake, but He kind of in a way has. And it's only through the gift of discernment that I can tell the difference, because some of the fraudulent ones are very good copycats of the real ones. And like I've put out words on this before about cubic zirconias versus diamonds, right? So meaning like real versus imitation. And so don't get me wrong, there are real prophetic voices channels on YouTube, right? And they have a place, and they're placed by the Lord, because not only have they been trained by Him and other channels, but they are now reached a graduation point that they can now go and train their listeners through the gift of discernment as well, and et cetera, right? So with that said, I have that gift of discernment to know which channels are real and which ones are imitation. And the Lord is wanting you guys as listeners to learn your gift of discernment to know which ones are real and imitation, so that you can know which ones to tune into and which ones to maybe avoid. And like I said, I'm not trying to, call anyone out or anything like that. That's one of the reasons why I hesitated to put this word out for quite some time, was because I wanted to get more information before I just went off saying things. So now, like I said, I have received that information for a while. And now that I have it, and then I got the confirmation through the video yesterday and the one today saying the same thing, I'm like, okay, Lord, I get it. You want me to put it out. So He's told me, I'm going to share with you some of the things He said that He considers what would be hallmarks of an imitation gifting, okay? Like an imitation channel, like maybe not necessarily fully authentic, genuine, right? And everyone has their own interpretation of these things, but I'll list some of them off. He's saying that those that are trying to start their channel off YouTube, so they gain their platform and their subscribers, and they take advantage of YouTube's it's free, right? Like, yeah, you can pay obviously for membership, but you can also post for free and listen for free if you so choose to, right? So those that maybe have used the free offerings that YouTube gives And they've used that over time to build a platform. And now they have a platform of subscribers, loyal subs, whatnot. And then all of a sudden they, out of the blue, after 2-3 years of growing the YouTube, they turn around and start Patreon, or they turn around and start these other subsequent channels, right? Now, don't get me wrong. The Lord does want subsequent channels, because then he's able to get his words out in more ways, right? But my point in saying this is that Patreon and other ones like that you have to pay. So he's told me this a couple times, that there's even some I listened to that I tuned into months ago that were free, they were only YouTube exclusive. And then all of a sudden they were like barely posting on YouTube anymore. They went from posting once or twice a week to posting once a month, and then would confess to say, oh, I'm on Patreon now. I barely put my content on here anymore. Come on to Patreon if you want to get more perks and get more benefit and get to hear more. So they're profiting off the Lord's words, because they, one, used YouTube to gain the subs in the first place, and two, are still getting their words from the Lord, but now they've pulled them off to a membership pay only site, to where now the people that were tuning into them on YouTube for 6 months for free are now barely getting any of the Lord's word or any content fed to them, because they want money now. So now they're taking those same words that were fit for YouTube and putting them out instead on their paid channel. So the YouTube loyal fans that grew their channel, grew their following up, get shafted, but then the Patreon following gets to hear the words from the Lord, right? That's something he's frowned on. Another thing he's frowned on is merchandise. All the stores and stuff, like these online YouTube stores. Now, again, don't get me wrong. Of course, the Lord loves it if people are walking around sporting I love the Lord t-shirt, or like Jesus is King coffee mug, right? But again, if you check out the prices on some of this stuff, like these t-shirts and cups range from $30 to $70 or more, right? And the Lord is like, okay, so now they're taking advantage of the online store option and trying to put out all this merch. And again, trying to say, well, it's just me trying to get the Lord's message out there, which fair enough, I'm sure it is. But the Lord frowns on that as well, because he knows that his children can't, not all anyway, can afford a $60 hoodie or, an $80 pair of shoes or whatever, right? And it's I personally wouldn't buy an $80 pair of shoes at Walmart that are black and white. But for some reason they think that because it says Jesus is King or Jesus is the Lord or whatnot, that's going to attract a buyer, right? So that's something else that he's saying is a red flag as well. Another red flag is when the poster posts 4 or 5 videos a day every single day. Personally, I've been hearing from the Lord for a few years now, and he doesn't talk to me like that. He doesn't give me a message at 10 a.m., noon, 2 p.m., 5 p.m., like clockwork, right? He gives the messages to me when he sees fit, and he's doing lots of other things and working with a lot of other people. So therefore, he's not constantly sitting on your shoulder giving you words at consecutive times of the day, every day, right? So that's kind of another red flag. And there's more too, and I'll probably make another video about them as he unfolds more to me. But these are just a few that he's unfolded to me so far over the course of the last couple months, as I've been asking and waiting for more information just to put it out as he so wants me to. Because I don't like to just put words in his mouth and suggest and say, well, this must be what it is. I like to wait and get the full confirmation or the full story first, right? And then that kind of brings me back into what I was saying at the beginning of this message of how I'm not showing my face, whatnot. We got to remember, I go off the Bible, right? And I know other channels say they do too, but in the Bible, I just go off of it. Jesus was a very humble man. He wasn't flashy. He was never trying to sell his words, his disciples. He wasn't trying to sell anything to them. He wasn't trying to get his disciples to sell. If anything, they were the ones trying to, give you money, give you things, not make a trade of your hard-earned money in return for the word, right? So just always keep that in the back of your mind, is like, if you're ever unsure as you grow this gift of discernment of your own, just think about the Bible and think about how the women were pictured in the Bible. Think about Ruth and think about Esther, these women, and Deborah, like these women that actually got books in the Bible. And were they getting their hair and nails done? Did they have lash extensions? Did they have spray tans? No, they didn't. These women were strong. They were smart, intelligent, wise, hardworking. They were women of noble character, like the Proverbs 31 woman. So women, that's who you want to aspire to be more like, right? Don't get caught up in all the glitz and the glam and all that, because that's not Jesus. That's maybe a movie star, but that's not Jesus. And same goes for men, of course, too. And those of you that are tuning into these prophetic words, especially if it's on a regular basis, and you're unsure if these prophetic voices are genuine or not, just keep a couple of these red flags in mind. Like I said, I find myself consistently subscribing from channels, and the Lord is leading me to other ones. So there's some I've been following for a while, and the Lord's been like, no, unsubscribe, because of whatever reasons, right? And then other ones, he's like, to go to this one. He'll like lead them into my For You page, like my main page, my homepage, and be like, try that, this one. He'll lead me away from certain ones and lead me towards others. And I find the ones he's leading me away from are the ones that are doing some of the things I described, right? And I find the ones he's leading me towards are more of the humble, down to earth, whether they're male or female. The females aren't all glitz and glam. The males, there's none of this boastful energy, things like that. Like, you actually can get a feeling, if you work on this gift of discernment enough, you can get a feeling and a sensation within you, a stirring of what is, real and what is, maybe not, right? And again, not trying to call anyone out or make anyone feel bad. These are words from the Lord. He's been asking me to put this out for a while now. I've been hesitating because I've been wanting, I've been saying, are you sure, Lord? I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, but no. And then, like I said, he's been adding pieces to it for a while. And then when I heard those other two voices yesterday and today saying a similar message, that was confirmation. And I even double checked. I'm like, you want me to do it? He's like, yeah. So I didn't even write any of this stuff down. I never do. It's always just off the top of my head. So that's probably why you hear me say a lot and lots of pauses, is because these aren't edited, and I'm just winging it always, just going off of memory of what he said to me. So I hope that this makes sense to someone. And he wants to encourage everyone to tune into prophetic words, because even if you are tuning into someone who's maybe disingenuine, it's still going to exercise that gift of discernment, right? That's the whole point of it. You have to, babies have to crawl before they can walk. And even when they walk, they stumble a few times, they fall on their butt a few times until they can run, right? It's the same thing. He knows that we're going to make slip ups and take the wrong way sometimes, and that's the whole point of life, is so that we consistently learn from things to do it better the next time. So that's how he works that muscle, that gift of discernment, is by teaching you, you have to go follow the wrong thing first, discover it, and so you can switch gears and switch to the right thing, right? And then you're wiser the next time. So he's using that method to work your gift of discernment as a listener. And those of you that are prophetic voices starting up whether you have a channel currently or you're planning to start one, or the Lord may come along and nudge you to start one, these are things to keep in mind, right? Hope this can help someone.